Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the NBA slate for Friday. We have a solid 9-game slate today. Looking forward to this one. Yesterday, 3-gamer went well. Hit on Draftkings and Fanduel 283 and 301. So hit on both formats. Let's keep it going tonight. So if you enjoy the videos, appreciate it. The like button, subscribe if you have not already. LeBron James led us last night with a triple-double, his 100th career triple-double, putting up north of 60. If you want to join us, you can visit the website. Link is in the description. Check out Prize Picks. We won 4 or 5 on the 5 picks that I posted in the video and on Twitter, so you made some money there. And let's get started with the point guard plays today. So out of these 9 games, the marquee game to target fantasy-wise is the first game, Charlotte against the Kings. You have two fast-paced teams. Charlotte plays terrible defensively. Charlotte is banged up with still missing their top couple of players. The Kings, they're missing their center, Rashawn Holmes, so more value here. You can go like Thompson, Alex Len. I think one of those two will probably hit value, assuming Len will start again like he had in the previous games. You have Bagley playing more minutes. He's only 37. He can be a pretty solid value piece. So the Kings are going to be interesting. The Hornets, you're going to need to get to a couple of them again. And then you have like Terrence Davis is 4,000. So that first game, you're probably going to have a bunch of pieces from. This Dallas-Indy game looks fine as well to target. Not that interested in this night game, this Boston-Phoenix game. Two solid defensive teams going at it. The Suns are still missing Devin Booker, but the price tags are not jumping off the page on a lot of these value pieces. So that game is, I don't mind fading the Hammer tonight because there's so many better games in the beginning. At point guard, I don't see myself paying $11,000 for Luka or Harden today, just unless we get some more news. There's a couple of guys I need to prioritize. I think De'Aaron Fox looks very good today at $7,900. He maybe is starting to turn it around. He took 18 shots, 22 shots, so he's been more aggressive the last couple of games. Now, this one is just a great game to target because the Charlotte has the worst defense in the league this year. They're giving up 116 points per game. They play at a fast pace. De'Aaron Fox will be able to get up and down the court. He can be able to run. They have no rim protection. They're starting Nick Richards. They're starting P.J. Washington. Like Washington has blocked a couple of shots, but he's not somebody that guys are afraid of to challenge in the paint. So I'm going Fox today. I think he's going to have a big game, at least over 40. He still plays big minutes, and the price tag is reasonable. Other plays at point guard, I look to Brogdon at 81. I think he looks like a decent option. I probably like Fox just because that game looks better for me to target. And the value range here, Halliburton gives you monstrous GPP ceilings. He's in play. LeVert at 58 is in play as well. At the bottom, you have like Chris Duarte, he's been a great shooter this entire year. He's gets you solid minutes. Right now, there's good minutes to be had because they're missing Holiday. They're missing their backup point guard, T.J. McConnell. So Duarte looks to be getting over 30 minutes in close games. We'll probably close with the starting unit as well. At that price tag, he looks like really viable. Armani Brooks has been starting for Houston without Porter. He can get you some decent minutes. He has a lower floor than you would like because 22 minutes, 19 minutes. But I think he still makes some sense. I probably like Duarte more than Brooks. At shooting guard, Russell is questionable. Even if he does play, I'm not that interested. Cleveland has, if you've been following NBA every single day, like teams going up against Cleveland, they tend to have the lowest scoring games of the night. We saw last game, the Cavs, they shut out the Bulls offense. They held them to, I believe, under 80 or something. Maybe it was in the 80s, but the teams are not scoring over 100 against the Bulls. Against the Cavs very often. So I'm not that interested in any of these Minnesota guys unless Russell is out again. If they're all healthy, they just seems like a fade. Van Fleet is pretty pricey at 88. Ingram is also kind of pricey at 87. I'm looking to guys that I know will play huge minutes. One guy that is locked into a huge role right now is Cody Martin at $5,700. 43 minutes in regulation, 42 minutes in regulation. That one might have went to overtime. The sixth game went to overtime, but last game 43 in regulation. They just don't have very many options right now. Like the coach hates James Bouknight. He barely plays him. They're running a pretty tight. It's an 8-man rotation, but Bouknight barely plays. Nick Richards barely plays. So they're looking at like a 6-man rotation where Washington gets in there, and you have like one of the Washington subs in for one of the starters, and then one of the starters subs in. So the starters are on the floor for most of the game, at least like 4 of them, and Martin at 57 gets you Some ball handling responsibilities now. You can play him at 2 spots. Very easy to fit him in. Other plays in that range, if you wanted to pivot, because I think Martin will be popular, would be Buddy Hield. His minutes have come way down because Terrence Davis has kind of gotten red hot, and Buddy Hield's been struggling a bit. 2 of 13 last game, 2 of 6, 2 of 7. He's had a bad shooting performance recently. He still gives you upside for GPPs because he's 53. This matchup against Charlotte, we saw what he did earlier. Like, if he gets hot from the floor, which you wouldn't be shocked if it happens today, this is such an easy spot. He's going to be getting open looks all night. Can put up 35, 40, and I doubt he'll be super popular. People get very scared when they see 8 fantasy points, 10 fantasy points in the game log. But at small forward, the top actually will finish up shooting guard. So Buddy Hield looks reasonable at his price tag at 53. Karis LeVert in that similar range, 58. The bottom here, you have like Garrison Matthews, Chris Duarte look like decent value plays. Terrence Davis, 4,000. He looks better than Armani Brooks. Bouknight is 35, but they just don't play him much, even without lack of bodies, like 12 minutes last game. Tough to trust. Small forward, you have one key piece that looks way underpriced, and we'll get to him. But at the top end, I don't mind getting to probably Tatum if there's no Jaylen Brown. But right now, I don't need to jam in Luka or Durant. There's some better plays that I'm going to go more balanced in the 7K range. There's a lot of good plays. Like you have Kelly Oubre, 78. Hayward, 73. Bridges, 77. They're all going to play monstrous minutes. Oubre played 40 minutes. 41 minutes last game. He struggled shooting 8 of 22, but he grabbed you 10 rebounds. He's been getting you a lot of steals. He gets you a couple of assists. He's just a lot to like with Kelly Oubre. He's super aggressive out there. He's going to take 20-plus shots. The matchup is amazing against Charlotte. I mean, I go at home and Charlotte against the Kings. Just this is the game that I want to focus on. I wouldn't be mad if I have like 6 players from this game or even like 7 players if I want to do a full-on stack. So Kelly Oubre looks amazing at small forward. A guy that we can also plug in that looks very good is Harrison Barnes. He's back from an injury. Played 29 minutes in that first game back. Maybe got up to 30. He was 29.4, so rounding up to 30. Maybe he gets up to like 32 to 34 today. Maybe they give him right back to full minutes. Who knows? But at least he got 30 right out of the gate, so there's not really any sort of restriction. Unless he like re-aggravates it, he should be good to go. He was very effective early on in the season. The minutes are still very high on him. Gets you points, gets you rebounds. Solid matchup. The price tag has come way down. He was 73, 75 just a couple of weeks ago. Now he's down to 54 because of that injury. It's going to take him a couple weeks, maybe like a week or two before DraftKings really just bumps up the price unless he goes off tonight. But 54, that's way too cheap. You can play him at power forward as well. Rounding out small forward at the bottom, below $5,400. You can look to some of these Suns players like Cam Johnson or Jay Crowder. They're fine, but they're behind the other value plays. Terrence Davis, we talked about him a lot. He's a small forward, $4,000. He looks great. And that's basically it. Power forward, you can get up to Giannis. He's cheaper than Luka today. He's only $100 more than Kevin Durant, so I like Giannis as my favorite spend up. Davis is 96. His price tag has come down. It's a great spot. Maybe the Lakers decide to rest one of the big three going up against the Thunder on a back-to-back. Who knows? But if they're all in, I still like LeBron the most at 98, then Davis. 8K and 7K range, it's Bridges at $7,700. He looks great. Gordon Hayward played over 40 minutes. Almost all these starters are going to play over 40 minutes. He got 31 real-life points. He was red-hot shooting. And he's starting at point guard, so he's getting 9 assists, 7 assists the last couple of games. Without Ish Smith, it's just gives him a nice, solid bump to his fantasy score. At the bottom in the 6K range, you have PJ Washington, looks decent at 66. Mobley is a block machine at $6,800. The 4K range, I don't even think Czech Metu played. I don't know if he was hurt. He might have been. They didn't even play him in the most recent game, which is weird because they were starting him and playing in big minutes. So the Kings are just pretty much they just rotate through guys. But it looks like Bagley is now the guy that's getting a lot of the minutes at the 4. At 37, he looks like a pretty good value play. At center, we have a couple of guys that look underpriced that are great point per minute producers. Like at the top end, you can get up to Giannis. You can get up to Sabonis if you wanted to. Christian Wood looks good at 93. But Valanciunas is only $8,000. Way too cheap going up against Detroit. Should be able to just have his way. If he's playing well and it's a close game, he's playing high minutes in the 30s. These games, some of them have been blowouts. Blowout against Dallas, foul trouble against Dallas, some foul trouble against Houston. But against Detroit at home, he's been so good this year. The price tag has come way down. He was over 9K, high 8K range. Right at 8,000 is very nice to get to. I know Ingram is back and he takes usage away, but Valanciunas, monstrous ceiling. He's put up a 70-point game this year a couple weeks ago. And then last but not least, if I wanted to just kind of round out this game stack here a bit, we got Martin, we have Oubre, throw in Bridges at only 77, a guy that also will play just monstrous minutes. He played 43 minutes. He's yet to have he's had one big game during the span, 53, but I think he's probably due for just like a very solid a game that he takes like close to 20 shots. The minutes are huge on him. He still hasn't had like a decent game with blocks and steals. That will come because he's averaging 1.2 steals a game. He's averaging almost a block per game. Going up against the Kings, it's a good spot to kind of rack up some of those stats. So it's going to be the Kings and Hornets. Just stack them up. You'll probably be looking at a lot of money tonight if that game goes off as expected. So that's about it for the video, or at least for the DraftKings side. Let's talk about FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel, point guard plays. FanDuel's pricing has been pretty much softer. I mean, a lot softer than DraftKings for most of the season. So Harden is nicely priced. Luka is under 10,000, which is pretty wild. So Luka looks the best spend up at point guard. You have Van Fleet at a nice tag at 81. Fox still looks very appealing at 78. Brogdon is cheap at 74. In the 5K range, you have Schroeder. Yeah, well, she's 63, but Schroeder, Smart if Brown is out once again. Right at 5K, you have Cody Martin. So Martin is way too cheap. Plug him in at point guard. At shooting guard, he can pay off, but like Luka, slightly $500 cheaper than Harden. Looks slightly better. But Hayward looks fine at 78. Like Kelly Oubre, 74. He's just does everything. Well, he's not. He's at least now that he's getting a lot of minutes, he's starting to rebound more. Get a couple of assists. His steals have been there. Plays huge minutes, 40+ minutes. We want to just target those types of guys. I like Gary Trent, 59. He plays good minutes. He can get you some stocks, and he can just shoot the lights out. LeVert looks better than Terrence Davis. Davis is very expensive on FanDuel, so play him on DraftKings. You can take a shot on Buddy Hield for tournaments, 52. Couldn't ask for a better matchup for Buddy Hield. And that's like the main pieces. Small forward, like Bridges at 84. Like Brandon Ingram at only 77. He's $1,000 cheaper than his DraftKings tag. But I will go with $5,800 Caris LeVert. Starting to play bigger minutes, and just with the injuries that they're dealing with at the wing with Justin Holiday and with their backup point guard at McConnell. 27 minutes last game. I mean, it's probably down. He played 33, 37 the previous games. He's starting to do more peripherals. He's been a lot more scoring dependent this year than we're used to, because he's playing most, if not all, of his minutes with Brogdon, a lot of the minutes with Sabonis. So he's not getting a lot of time just to handle the ball. But I still like him just because he's cheap. The matchup isn't crazy. It's like a mediocre matchup. Dallas, they're at home at least. Indy plays at a fast pace. So we've seen some of these Indy games be high scoring. Good price tag on LeVert. You can play him at 2 spots. So I think he makes a lot of sense. Power forward, I like Sabonis at 88. But Christian Wood is going to be the piece at 82. He's too cheap. He's probably cheap on, like a little bit too cheap on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, 82 is very underpriced for a guy that had a poor shooting performance. He had a slow start. Still finished with a decent game, 45. But he shot 5 of 15, 5 of 16. He got 4 stocks, 15 rebounds. Plays solid minutes. It's a matchup that has been very high scoring going up against Milwaukee. And I don't mind Christian Wood. They're on a heat, or 7 straight wins for the Rockets. Don't count them out tonight. And at center, Valanciunas is probably still my favorite just because he's only $7,500 on FanDuel, which is just ridiculous. So Sabonis, Randall look fine at the top end. But 75 for Valanciunas, a guy that gives you legitimate 50, 60-point upside. Way too cheap. So I love the Christian Wood-Valanciunas pairing. You got a couple of Charlotte guys. Levert looks amazing. So that's about it for the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck tonight, and I'll see you all next time.